yes enije nkwa nyankopon enhyere nyina na ombo yehuban na ontimi enkyere kwan pa no na emre bia no yiri ho na ye de sefata se ne be ma community ye krom ye man Ghana nkasa ebe bibia krabehwe. Yes, some other places they are fighting, because we lack a lot of things that are supposed to be common or simple, a lot of things going on. But the airborne pioneer say nyankopon emani esuncha na enyina no enya sunje, because directly or indirectly we are affected. Yes, we are in a global village. So whatever is happening everywhere, wherever it is happening, certainly it has a repercussion or implications on us as far as the global phenomenon is concerned, particularly happening in the eastern side of the continent where oil largely is coming from. But assurance, and he said the Minister of Energy and the government is giving Ghanaians assurance, say no panic, especially experts. Honestly, there should not be any panic because you have enough to be able to take care of us. But looking at attacks, US, Israel, and then the Iran on the other hand. And then to us on the daily graphic and the main headlines was a graphic business Tambik Forum transport sector needs stronger framework. Mauko afa jenu. We Elizabeth Nyado Ado ni story. The front page leading headline of the newspaper Daily Graphic. Baba Jamal wins Ayawaso East constituency seat. Honorable Baba Jamal. Yes, the Okaye, after he has been declared winner of the Ayawaso East parliamentary elections that took place yesterday. So as MP elect, this is what he has to say.
Baraka FM.
He was declared by the EC.
Once again, for finding me worthy to go and work in Nigeria. Those few months that I stayed in Nigeria has added to my experience, which I'm taking to Parliament to set this country better. I thank the President so much, and also want to assure the people of East Ayawaso that the resetting of East Ayawaso starts now. We are going to Parliament. We are coming to reset the whole constituency and ensure that what East Ayawaso deserves.
Yes, the reset agenda for Ayawaso East starts now, according to the Member of Parliament elects Honorable Esquire Baba Jamal. He wins the Ayawaso seat. The full detail of the story, get the newspaper Daily Graphic this morning, page 13 for details of the story. 1,201 public workers cleared for recruitment. We any announcement. The Minister of Minister of should I say information? Yes, the one who communicate on behalf of government. Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu. On this assembly, Eddie Etujwa Enra, the issue of the recruitment. Obekaya, you see, it was done late. So when the government took in charge of power, decided to revoke the appointment. It was done by the Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Debra. But later, upon criticism from the opposition and other cortex, government decided to go into an investigation to find out as to whether they were qualified or they were engaged based on merits. It was okay. Now they have okay, but some 500 plus, according to the story, according to Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu. And I said, I engage you. It was not right. So they are not going to return and resume their work. Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu on this particular issue of the reappointments or the reappointment of those whose appointments were revoked.
Hearings. The committee recommended that 1,539 of the recruitments, appointments, and promotions be upheld because they complied with the prescribed recruitment and promotion procedures and received appointment letters before 7 December 2024. And this also implies that they achieved a pass mark of above 80%. The committee recommended, however, that the recruitments, appointments, and promotions of 541 persons be revoked because the recruitment processes ended after 7 December 2024 and failed to meet the pass mark. In other words, they also did not comply with the processes and guidelines slated or designed to govern that process. Also, the number of recruitments, appointments, and promotions recommended for revocation by the committee
Baraka
was lower than the number that the institutions themselves revoked in the wake of the chief of.
We Honorable Felix Kwachufosu on all this way to Jana. All the two Jana say the man who was really instrumental in criticizing government on this particular tangent. Yesterday he responded and was commending government. Say yes, and internet baby and man to partisan politics. Yes. It was okay, but still he want to know the 500 plus minister near to Jano. Or some figures who were the very people specifically the government referring to that their appointments is still revoked because they didn't merit those positions or those works. Honorable John Dako Swami, yes, in the Ashanti region, MP.
But that is not all.
Baraka FM.
They say about 541 people, at least for those people, the appointments should still remain revoked because it does not meet a certain threshold. We will need to see those particular appointments and why, in the view of the government, those appointments don't meet the threshold they set for themselves. But look, right from the beginning, we said that the chief of staff did not have the authority to do what he did by ordering the revocation of all those appointments they claim were made, after the 7th December election. The point is that when it comes to appointment or recruitment processes in our public service, they are not a day affair or a business. It is a process that sometimes can run up to a year. Sometimes the minimum will be 6 months. And so if somebody starts interview or recruitment processes, and it takes a year before the appointment is made, and that appointment is made after 7th of December of an election year, and we say that by reason of that late appointment, the appointment should be revoked. You will be wrong. But I'm happy that the committee the government is set up came out and they agree with us to a large extent that the majority of the appointments were right, they were in line with legal processes. And so that is good. I would say it's further in the camp of the government for not covering up their own investigation. So in that regard, I commend the government. But I will want to see that the particular 541, we need to know what actually happened. Because, you see, we know that government is a continuum and that the term of a government does not end after an election. In fact, it ends on the day the handing over is done. And so from 7th December up to 7th January in an election year, an outgoing president will still have the power to make some appointments. And our brothers in the NDC defended this sometimes in December 2016 when they appointed the board and other people. So as a people, we really need to come to this realization that election is not an end itself. It's a process that we are using to govern our nation. And so an election that happens on a particular day should not stop us from functioning as a people. But I can say that this is a very good thing and we commend the government. But the 541 they are talking about, we really want to know what exactly happened because we don't.
We can say yes, commend the government for the good job. But then 531 is 41, and they still want to know who are these people, which particular institution and I say department do they belong to? The mind to us na NTA and some now or the toja account.
So the basis for coming to the conclusion that they are appointed. That's the thing. When you say it did not go through the right process and it went through the right process, what exactly do you mean? Because when it comes to public service appointments, you know the process. Some of them will have to go to civil service and all of that. Unless you tell me that there is some particular flagrant violation of the law, I wouldn't understand what you mean by they did not go through the right process. Tell us which part of the law this appointment violated. And I'll be first person to concede that, for instance, if somebody's appointment isn't go to, let's say, the civil service, if it's supposed to, and it's not go through it and they revoke it, I will be first to admit. But in the beginning, you said that the blanket letter from the chief of staff to revoke all appointment made after 7 December was wrong. And at least by their own assessment, the committee report, you agree with that the chief of staff was wrong at the time and is wrong now. For the rest of the 41, if we get to know the basis, then we can interrogate. But I would say is that we need to move beyond this as a country and respect the
Baraka
structure. At the time we were referring to the presidential transition, there's nothing in the presidential transition that prescribes an outgoing president from acting and behaving as a president, which will include making appointments, you understand. And so those ones that there are clear violations of the law, I will concede. But we know that we are right from the beginning that the majority of them, as their own report has shown, were done without question. I mean, again, now the government says that the people's appointments were legal.
Baraka FM.
We need to find out whether those people are still around. If they were sent home, they need to drop us. And we see, for you, the media, need to help us follow this 1,500 people. Who are these people? We've been told that the appointments have not been restored. It means that they have to come back. We need to know these people. We need to see them. They should tell us which institution. So, for instance, you tell me at a particular institution there were these 10 people. They are coming back. We need to see them. And I expect you, the media, to go behind government statements and confirm these things. Because government said that 1,500 people will go them. Who are these people? And again, once we do that, there's no question that these people who are made to sit home will be entitled to their back pay, at least at the minimum, for all the time that they were denying their salaries. They need to be paid, because if they were a court decision, they'll be asked to take this pay plus, as it were, cost or some form of penalty. But I believe that because it's an administrative decision, their salaries can be paid to them for them to return. But for me, the most important thing is for us to go behind these government statements and find out whether indeed these 1,500 people are going back to work. Otherwise, it's just much ado about nothing. Otherwise, just government trying to save face, tell the people of Ghana that we are doing the right thing. When in fact and indeed, these 1,000 people probably will be home, or they will be sent back to their workplaces.
Mr. Baraka, can there ever be a time where we can end this cycle of last-minute appointments?
We just have to understand that a government term run for 4 years. Okay? A government term run for 4 years. And so within that 4 years, we should allow the president or the outgoing president to act. Otherwise, let's legislate. So if we are looking for a time when these appointments will be stopped, let's legislate. And because we are trying to even change the time of our election, for instance, if you are going to have an election in November, let's legislate. Then after the election in November, no appointment will be made until all the transition processes are over and the new government comes. And so if the government intends to appoint, let's say, 100 or 1,000 people, let the appointment be part of your handing over to the new government, and then the new government, if it deems fit, will appoint those people into office.
We Honorable Esquire John Daku, yes, Swami MP, and I'm in Kano. Our Kasafa, the reappointments, yes, those who were called back after revocation of the appointment, just as the NDC resumed government or governance, yes, in one seminar. Enra, the Honorable Felix Kwachufosu, editor, just says, say, if you want to do na, yes, say it was okay. So they are going back to their various institutions to resume work. but I do don't know ebi muso yase mo de there be quite fast so engage you no enye ne kwan so and honorable Esquire John Darko eka say ono de obo aban abaso but then the aka no de opese anka enye hwehwem and o say eno edwuma no de opese yen central for ene nkwa hwehwem na yen fan betudwa. MPP will fight to for cocoa farmers we air upon Kruma and also the front page of the custodian newspaper. Minority storms farms to support cocoa farmers. Best record clear choice. Afenyumakin asset center rights. MPP tradition outperformed rival traditions in Ghana. Honorable Afenyumakin mumenkono enkoti odi tuja. In fact, the debate on the 2026 budget is ongoing.
There be a public hearing.
Baraka FM.
Afenyo Market, who these days is seen as perhaps, according to the allegation, I'm saying something which is untruthful and all that, and because of that, it is a breach of parliamentary privilege.
Baraka FM.
You have the wisdom to exercise the discretion. I will avail myself, should you exercise that discretion, to a public hearing, and then the matter can be brought to a peaceful rest.
Honorable Afenyamaki, momenti the first deputy speaker who was sitting in the chair, also the response.
They refer to privileges does not mean that the person is guilty. That is why I said all suspects are supposed to be deemed innocent. I am not pronouncing on the guilt of the minority leader or otherwise. I am not. And it is not the responsibility at this stage so to do. It's the responsibility of the committee to make that recommendation to the House.
We are the first deputy Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Honorable Bernard Ahiagbo. Mahama calls for cessation of US-Israel-Iran conflicts, and also the front page headlines of the custodian newspaper. And we actually also say Gideon Boako to sponsor eye surgery for 35 constituents. Hey, Gideon Boako, why are they? NDC stalwart mourn with Sami Jemfi. The Ghanaian publisher say MPP is Ghana's democratic pillar. Afenyomakin. Minority MP storms cocoa farms over price cut. First Lady NDC guru mourn with Sami Jemfi. Gamman chairs summoned coca over tribal comment. The news center say MTN pays 10.5 billion Ghana cedi taxes in 2025. Hey, MTN. A reflection of its role in national economic resilience. Government resumes domestic bond borrowing. We are upon we finance minister upon Kromosi. Minority is cocoa farmers' trusted ally upon Kroma. Bahama urges US, Israel, and Iran to end war. 541 recruitment appointments and promotions revoked. The full detail of the story is on the page 7 of the News Center newspaper. The new publisher, honestly, we are for the people, not the elites. We are Afenyumakin. Defense MPP's legacy as engine of opportunity. Nana Agrada recount life in prison. Mahama fears as visa ban. Mahama fears US visa ban. The Daily Statesman, we make ordinary people extraordinary. Afenyumakin makes strong case for center-right politics. Yes. Minority MPs engage cocoa farmers, cocoa communities over price cut upon Nkrumah pledges fight for farmers. Tano North MP to support eye surgery for constituent. The Daily Gist newspaper, NDC sacked 2,000 plus workers. After winning 2024 elections, Asama Felix Tukacho Fosu Ekayana rebuttal from the John Darko and a newspaper no so no. But figures na newspaper need to join and mean baby figures. Minority takes cocoa price fight to farms. Joe Gatti visit Baumia calls for unity ahead of 2028. Hey, Honorable Joe Gatti. MIIF 2024 financial report finally out. Alpha R church arson suspect for psychiatric test. Baraka slapped with 5.1 million Ghana cedi damages for defaming Kandapa. Hey, Asamaba. Republic Press 16 perish in ambulance crash. Hey, overspeeding. Asamu. This is a very, very, very serious story. Just say, Omunina, Kojoto, Prekope, Omunina. Hey, Asamu. Minority leader calls NDC bluff over privileges committee referral. Opposition pushes for fair cocoa pricing amid price cuts. Central region. Teacher dies by suspected suicide at Asinfosu. Akituani Nenyo says allowance is no. Say then Yankupon kwa nim teacher suicide. Wow, see what bre. How no dear atitino is too much. And you obeso no nkojina homi. So obejina homi so njina homi onde ono anasem. Aha. They say there. Interior Ministry pays rent allowance arrears for security personnel. Honorable Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak. Women jailed for stealing church items at Teshi Barracks. You see, I'm checking out. Maybe a Yaman in Charanqui. Sorry, down. On one call bank. And now one call any microfinance ABR. Debbie. Sorry, dying. You know, where I see Debbie. I send your money in our own shin. On your soldier and Yankopama. More time no. The Chronicle newspaper see Osahin tout MPP's pro-poor policies. Credit Kufu and Akufu Addo for introducing NHIS school feeding, free SHS, free fertilizer for cocoa farmers, etc. NDC stalwart mourn with Sami Jimfi. Minority takes cocoa price fight to their farms. Where the quotation party as a Proverb 29:14. If king judges the poor with fairness, his throne will be established forever. The new crusading guide on the CDD Ghana tackles party financing. Draft new law to curb vote buying, ensure transparency in elections. Sasam way, tifo, sasam way. Yenina kahu. Because oba na so person ko parliament and na so person be man penyi no one more hwedi a o gidi se obetimi ato abama na na question na CDD o msisi de o person o de emra bi ba se na be betimi aboa sa yen hwe na yen to abama omo a betimi aboa ama ye society your community a change at take a different dimension but say gidi scan de a no mo kwa Kwan mba so akonya sasika no eno ano mbefa wo they will not think about us again. Another 4 years then we keep on rotating. Eno so no enkyere se ye ne bia na ni de kafa friend saying kabinami nkabi democracy no em say enyanti ase. So this is what CDD say. CDD takes the tackles party financing, draft new law to curb vote buying, ensure transparency in elections. Jampo decries government work attitude at Sheepers Authority upon Kruma comfort cocoa farmers. Even if it takes years, we will fight for what is due you. We any the upon Kruma catch cocoa farmers. Equiafo do do an idea cocoa. Yes, 10 million defamation suit. Oliver Bakavamo slammed with 5 million damage. Hey, court orders him to apologize, retract defamatory comment. Unya konya na utina nye social media nkwa bebiara. Men kogun nkrofufin because people have really built their reputation all these years. Within a second, na unya konya, then you say whatever you want. There are laws in this country. Ntinu bako ena akwachi ojafu. Say there. You see, he has to call 5 million damage and come and retract and apologize. That is the issue now. ploy to stop DVLA vehicle number plate contract fails as High Court dismisses 2 in interlocutory applications to hold the process. DVLA boss there. Hey, Amaniepa. Maxwell Boachi builds 50-bed ward to Anamada. A very good one. Akufo-Addo to grace echoes from the Doing book launch. New book, no. Auditor General releases MIIF 2024 audit report. Page 3 has the details of that particular story. AI Holdings was SkyTrain sole shareholder witness. The minority storms farms to solidarize with cocoa farmers. The Inquisitor newspaper see crooked games at Tema Port. Importers unhappy as national security operatives, custom officers harass them for gifts. Any gift to bribe. Just say one money be one for envelope. You didn't really give any envelope here, and the unyaman beka na see them rich. Them rich soon echi unyaman the end they eka. Apart from what's really transpired, I'm Minister of Finance call her. And some AP free hono. And this has some way. The AP into national security. You see the mumbo modia. Na mama waso anasema madwin ko ho de cost wo report no enya de pa. NPA secures 5 weeks fuel stock. Yes, Iran US Israel war nsensem no. Get the paper for full detail of the story. Interior Ministry settled 2025 rent allowance arrears for security services. Eunice Berdu Nyako honored at 2026 instinct A Assembly Brofweni Women Awards in Kenya. The Ghanaian Point newspaper says Ghana takes steps to secure enough fuel supply amid Middle East tensions. Honorable Jinapo, Abdullah Jinapo, Minister of Energy. And all this has some way to jar. Afenyo Makin referred to Parliament Privileges Committee over recruitment allegations. Government revokes 541 post-elections appointments after review committee findings. Upon Nkrumah pushes no plan, no cash bill to align budget with national development plan and fiscal discipline. Judge us by our policies, not perceptions. Afenyomakin defends Dankwa Dombo Busia legacy. The Accra Times newspaper also say Mahama walks the talk, turns Ghana into construction sites with 73 projects across all system regions. 73 projects across all system regions. Cocoa Deputy CEO publishes old Tafo MP's claims. Unimac submits proposal to Education Ministry. And also no Ewaha. The Daily Post newspaper says you don't rush policy implementation. Chief of Staff assures 24-hour economy will take off. Yes, Daily Post newspaper says NPA's Dr. Sheila Addo honored at the 2026 Instinct Women Conference and Awards in Nairobi, Kenya. NDC Baba Jamal wins Iowa East by elections. Hey, and then newspaper saying no say only two papers and I capture elections. Which I say elections in Kwade sama anyway, my name say be Ramadan in India, and I say our first voter turnout in India. Almost all the newspapers is only two that's really captured this incident of the elections at Iowa. So Eunice Bedu Nyako MCN Medicain Edituja. The Informal newspaper was minority pushes for PFP amendment bill. Africa is unique. Don't compare with West. Mahama tells Arusha conference going on in Tanzania. Don't tax citizens to repair Galamsey damages. CDD boss advocate. Establish Cashew Development Board. Cashew farmers remind Mahama. Deepening sector engagement. MIIF CEO undertakes familiarization tour of quarry sites. The Daily Searchlight newspaper. Customs bust massive tornado haul. 9 state officials detained. Baba Jamal carries Iowa East. Or Team Fifripa. Just say in that form. Speech under attack in Parliament as Deputy Speaker refer Afenyomakin to Privileges Committee. ATU holds matriculation and challenge students to uphold academic integrity. Government backs down late-term public sector engagement scandal. The Insight newspaper, I'll say old lady cries for justice in tearful plea to President Mahama. Why United Nations, Islamic countries and non-aligned nations must stand against normalization of state terrorism by US and Israel. Iranian ambassador to Ghana writes. NPP's Koka invited to appear before Ghana chiefs. Philanthropists built new school block for Ga Odumase MA Basic School. Good one there. Yes. Namibian government expresses concern over escalating situation in the Middle East. Yowa Overlord commends Mahama for road repairs, urges fast actions on markings and dangerous spots. We ended the last newspaper and yedi be bremo, but mumayanko parliament. Nyama bebre yekosu ewo parliament. But ansa na ebe ko hono enra about the elections and before the declaration we ended the Rashid Tanko computer. So him say omuna omude in terms of election party for the NDC. This is what he has to say before the announcement of the victory.
Shouldn't have been subjected to this, but it's constitutional. You see, the constitution says this. You cannot do anything about it.
Sorry, I'm sorry, no, it's in the air, so we will not be able to bring you this one. But Honorable Mahama Ayariga in Parliament, trying to defend the 2026 SONA State of the Nation address that took place before the weekends last week. Honorable Ayariga. Mahama Ayariga Mumayanko na Yankotinu. Yes. Okay.
Attempt to scandalize this government will not happen because some people every week registered a scandal. They must create scandals for the NDC government.
Baraka
Even where
FM.
there is no scandal, they want to manufacture a scandal. If indeed a minister or a senior NDC person has any interest in the company that is providing the service, we want to hear it. We want to know that minister so that we will take action against that minister. Because this president has promised that any minister who is involved in a scandal, he will remove that minister.
We are Honorable Mahama Ayariga, majority leader in Ghana's parliament. And we're children, your Reverend in Team Fojo and also Obaye Okase Debbie. Dear Kosu dear Enyokra Nyamankuyi
Today you are making reference to Ivory Coast. No Ivory Coast minister went around seeking votes of cocoa farmers, promising them 6,500 per bag. You did, and you turned around to take and to cheat them, to shortchange them, and to steal 1,000 cedis from one bag of cocoa. Mr. Speaker, a pirate incident reported in Senyabreku on our own territorial waters. Our fisher folks no longer feel safe because of a systemic leadership failure in the defense sector by the failure of the president in appointing a substantive.
Also, there be the cause of the insecurity is becoming unbecoming. Mampenye, Ibomodia defense minister there, any ya mayenyebi. Finance minister could not continue to be acting. Yes, Burkina attack pirates, Cape Coast. Any instance, no say the Ninano, some Mampenye Bomodiana appointed defense ministry because all also come to play with regards to this issue. We might hear Honorable Felix Kochi Fosu, also know Eyano, Emma, the other side.
That the president said that Iyoko has recovered 600 million Ghana cedis from Operation Recover All Loot. Mr. Speaker, that is not accurate. The president never made reference to oral in respect of the 600 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, in respect of oral, unless and until persons who are under investigation or are before courts have been convicted, you cannot recover anything from them. The most that can be done is that their assets can be frozen And as far as that goes, Mr. Speaker, I can report to you that 1.5 billion Ghana cedis in assets have been frozen by people undergoing investigations and those before court. And they include those who are involved in the 280 oral cases that.
Yes, we are fairly squatch for so say Debbie. Say Uncle Fudu no eka. Say up to now in TV. Na sikana say through oral no nkrofo. Aban sikano. Say momodiane. O say enu de court nko an. Yes, omonhwehwe mu de it has proven say 1.5 billion nyes kakitwa. Na sasa ke nyina no say nsabeka dia age court. Ntino say enya abutre. We any de Felix kai Richmond Roxin spokes Kasamafo Emma Minister of Energy. So him say recent times they have an issue where ECG is trying to explain what is happening on their side. Is it tampering with meter or what is happening? Transformers or maintenance or whatever it is. Let's listen to the spokesperson and Honorable Mr. Richmond Roxin, the auditor for the issue of the energy sector.
You can be rest assured that the government is fully committed in protecting Ghana's energy security, especially when it comes to our fuel. And we don't expect that at this time some of these developments will come to pass.
We Richmond Roxin. Now, it's here for him to have the newspaper headlines, yeah, DBC. But debate parliament, debate parliament, very, very interesting. Some few minutes, maybe some 20 minutes, yeah, the bebremo. Na muntiminti ase because dudu na mampeni call parliament, I call really the state of the nation, the minority also come and they say this is the real state of the state of the nation. The usual politics. But the actual fact on the ground is that the debate will continue in Parliament. Each sector be any budgeter. Friends saying abaino edia to hontini nyinano say omuntimi end debate both sides when they agree before the approval and everything will move on. Before then, mumayenko nenkuti the so our Parliament and the issue of the State of the Nation address by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
First 3 quarters of the year recorded in excess of 6%. And Mr. Speaker, the country recorded a positive private balance that had eluded this country for so many years. Mr. Speaker, the end result is that the country now had a hold on the economy and can therefore have the comfort to move towards the development agenda that will so much divide. As a result, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency couldn't have put it aptly when he said that the country is on the runway and advised everybody to fasten our seatbelts. But Mr. Speaker, there have been several comments that have occasioned this state of the nation, and I would like to take time to address some of them. Mr. Speaker, we have seen forgotten that for 3-4 years consecutively in our country, the IMF and the World Bank, leading to the 2022 when we declared bankruptcy, that our country was facing very high risk of debt default. Unfortunately, the managers of the economy at the time did not take heed of that. The end result was that the risk of debt default finally became actual default in December 2022, when the country declared to the world that we could not pay our debt and filed for bankruptcy with our creditors. But Mr. Speaker, even in the midst of us not paying our debt, we still could not manage the foreign exchange. The CD was trading at about 17 cedis to the dollar, but today it is possible to buy the dollar at about 11 cedis to the dollar. And His Excellency said that he did not have to arrest the dollar. What he did was to strengthen the CD so that he could put up a good fight against the other major foreign currencies. Mr. Speaker, very simply put, when your child is bullied in school, you don't arrive in the school with policemen to arrest the children that bully your child. You train your child to take up his own and fight to save his life. And that is exactly what His Excellency did with the CD. But Mr. Speaker, our colleagues have tended to tell us that the gold board that we set up to support the cedi is nothing new. And somehow or another, somebody who was the head of the economic management team that failed our country is the one who brought about the purchase of gold at the Bank of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I want to put it on record that in 1958, when some people's father and mothers had not even met, in 1958, our country, when we introduced our own jurisdictional currency, the assets that backed that currency included gold in 1958. Mr. Speaker, in 1961-62, the managers of the economy took a very bold decision to ramp up the purchase of gold to support our reserves at the Bank of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, they increased gold holdings at the Bank of Ghana to about 8.7 metric tons, which was valued at the time at $3.7 million. Mr. Speaker, it will interest you to note that the people who sold those gold that we refer to them as the legacy gold, it was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his people who sold all that gold for $100 million in 2022 just to balance the books at the Bank of Ghana. So, Mr. Speaker, rather than say that somebody brought about the purchase of gold at the Bank of Ghana, the truth is that that person rather sold our gold that had stood in our books since 1961 and sold them in 2022. So the truth is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did not bring any original idea for the purchase of gold at the Bank of Ghana. And as a matter of fact, gold was purchased at the Bank of Ghana as far back as 1958. And the legacy gold that was bought in 1961 was sold by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in 2022. So clearly, all these settings, all this pretense and high sounding to try and give somebody credit is neither here nor there. The facts speak for themselves that the buying of gold at Bank of Ghana started several decades before His Excellency was even born and became a vice president. But Mr. Speaker, I have also heard some people who misunderstood the statement that His Excellency the President made. When His Excellency the President, and here, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I would like to quote. He said, Mr. Speaker, to reduce Ghana's 300 to 400 million per annum import bill on poultry, the government of Ghana has set up a program to reverse this trend. But Mr. Speaker, His Excellency said that part of that arrangement also include production of poultry by households in addition to those that are being produced by commercial farmers. Mr. Speaker, he says that the Akukon Kitinkiti program is underway and the target is to reach 600,000 households. Even before the launch of the program, 720,000 birds. And for those of you who are wishing for a slip, please pay attention. This is what is in the meat, and this is what is captured by the Hansard. And this is the truth, that it was 720,000 birds that were shared among 13,000 Ghanaians. So for those of you who are out there making noise, this is the truth, and nothing but the truth. But Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that our colleagues are not interested in the debate because the cocoa politics has died. The pro-cocoa jandam is gone. Today, everybody knows that Ghana pays twice as much as Cote d'Ivoire for the price of cocoa. So for those of you who are out there deceiving some farmers that somehow or another it was John Dramani Mahama that was reducing cocoa and was pointing to Cote d'Ivoire as the savior of the cocoa industry, today we want you to visit the farmers and tell them that cocoa is more expensive in Ghana than it is in Cote d'Ivoire, and that they rather may see Cote d'Ivoire, people in Cote d'Ivoire smuggling cocoa to sell in a higher price in Ghana. So of course, after having seen the collapse of the cocoa politics, it is not surprising that their seats are empty because they have nothing to say again. Mr. Speaker, another most important issue that our people have tended to do is to tell the people of Ghana that all the good news is settings. I don't know what they mean by settings, but of course I want to tell them that Ghanaians know settings when they see one. Settings is when somebody loses a general election for which his party elected them as a flag bearer. The person now comes to a general election and is woefully disappointed and rejected by the people of Ghana. You now go back to the people for a flag bearer election that you didn't lose before, and you win that election, and you say that the stone that the builders rejected shall be the head of the cornerstone. Have you won the general election? Was he rejected as a flag bearer? So where is the stone coming from? Wait until you win the general elections. Then you say that the stone that the builders rejected has become the head of the cornerstone. Not that the election you won before, you go to win the same election, and then you come and say, it is possible for people to now see that these are what people who are doing the settings. The settings is to interpret the Bible to suit their needs and live the reality. The reality is that